Hey friends, my friends of the Affirmations universe, I am so glad that you're here with me. If you are here with me live today on this beautiful day of 2/24/22, um, today I'm going to be talking about a lot of things, a lot of things around the energy right now. A little bit about astrology, which I don't usually talk about, which will be fun. And then I'm going to give you some affirmations for all of that, as we always do. So I am so glad you're here. And as always, if you are chiming in live, comment in the comments so I can see you. Just comment hi, or where you're chiming in from, and hopefully you're seeing this video. And then also, if you're watching the replay, comment for me replay below so I can see that you are chiming in on the replay as well. So, excuse me, I that always happens. Frog in my throat as soon as I start talking, and it only happens on this affirmations page. I feel like whenever I go do a live anywhere else, I don't think that happens. Anyway, so last week we talked about the energy fields and the body and the chakras and how we store energy. We also talked about that a little bit the week before. Um, and then last week we talked a little bit more about the actual words that we store in the body, where we store them. And I went through the book, Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Body, or You Can Heal Your Life. What is it? It's not over there. Oh yeah, it is. You can heal your life. Um, and yeah, and the affirmations for those emotions that you store in your body and where they're stored, and how certain body parts talk to us, which is a super fun Q&A live to do with you guys. Edie was my most engaged listener and had some questions, and that was great. Thanks for being there, Edie. If you haven't watched that, go back, scroll down to last week. There's not a ton of activity, so you shouldn't have trouble finding it. But I would love to have this group be engaged in your affirmations. So share your affirmations, share your questions to the page, comment below if you have a question about affirmations, either during the live or during the replay. And if you have a question that just comes out of the blue about affirmations or something that's going on in your life that you want an affirmation for, then go ahead and put that anywhere on the page and tag me, and I'll see it, and I can answer that question for you. So last night when I was talking to my beloved Mary in the Philippines, oh, we have a watcher, a visior, Phoebe. Hi, Phoebe. I just got your comment. Yay! I'm glad you're here, my sweets. Okay, so where was I? You haven't missed much, Phoebe. All I was talking about to intro was what I talked about last week and what I was going to maybe cover a little bit this week. So I'm glad you're here, my dear. So last night I was talking to my beloved Mary, and she always watches these, so I always like to plug her. She is my virtual assistant from literally the other side of the planet. I think we are 15 hours apart. She's in the Philippines, and she's been a part of my life for a year now. I think we have celebrated our 1 year anniversary. So, Mary, I should probably thank you for that. Oh, we have another viewer. Yay, I'm glad you're here. Comment in the comments so I can see you, because this app that I use, that Facebook has for the page, I can't see who's watching. So, Mary and I were chatting last night, and she was like, gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm just exhausted. And for her, my 8 o'clock p.m. is her 11 o'clock a.m. the next day, a day ahead. So, to be exhausted at 11 a.m., something's going on there. And I said, and she's young. And I said, we're all exhausted right now. I've been hearing that from a lot of people. And so I said, maybe that would be a good thing to bring to the Q&A, the affirmations Q&A, and talk a little bit about exhaustion. Oh, hi, friend. Fran, Lori is in Hawaii, so she doesn't need any affirmations until she gets back and has to deal with the 9 degrees that's in Denver right now. Just kidding. So, um, what I want to talk about is, first of all, why we're all feeling exhausted right now, because there is some serious stuff going on in the astrological field, and how that also affects overwhelm, fatigue, needing to sleep more, and giving yourself permission around all of that. So, but first, I want to talk a little bit about our North Node, the Moon's North Node, which is in Taurus, and it affects how. And I don't need to go. I don't have enough time. I've already burned 7 minutes here, so I don't have enough time to go into the North Node and how, what that means. But the Moon has two nodes. And as you know, the Moon is very, very influential on our planet, right? It governs the tides of the entire ocean. It's so influential. So the North nodes, of which, are the two signs that the Moon basically is in, and how that affects us, both in the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere. So that's opposite. So they're always in a different kind of space, right, than we are. Mary is as well. But they're very intrinsically tied because they're opposites, right? So the North Node right now is in Taurus. It just went into Taurus. It's going to be in there for a while. It went in January 18th. It's going to be in there until July. And so we have that long period of feeling Taurus energy very connected to our emotional state. The Moon changes signs every 3 days. And that affects us as well. Like whatever sign the Moon is in, and when it's new or when it's full, or even just throughout the month, is important to us. But the North Node is like that to the nth degree. So our South Node, the opposite of Taurus, is Scorpio. And right now, what that means is we are tired of the struggle, of the division, and of the fear mongering that's been going on for 2 years. We are anxious. A lot of us are out of alignment, working jobs that either we don't like, or not in a job at all, or doing the job of 3 people because other people aren't working. And so I want you to feel back to the energy of March 30th, 2020, when everything shut down. And we were confused, we were uncertain, but we were given the permission to nap. We were given the permission to rest. And rest we did. Some of us slept like we'd never slept before. We disconnected. We walked around in the neighborhood. Craig and I walked our neighborhoods every day to get out there and see people at a distance, but to see people. Some places we couldn't do that. Here in Colorado, we were lucky that we could do that. But remember that feeling of allowing yourself to completely step out of busy. And right now we're all in busy. And we've been back in busy for at least a year. We took, maybe 3, maybe 6, maybe, if you're lucky, 8 or 12 months to rest like you'd never rested before. And so coming out of that adds a new layer of pressure, financial pressure, work pressure, family pressure, educating your children at home, which you may not have the experience in doing, and you don't know, where to find the tools to do that, right? So that pressure, even if you don't have, I don't have children, I'm not homeschooling, right? But I have friends around the world who are homeschooling. And so that energy, that exhaustion, is in the quantum field. And we're all connected to it. It's ever present, that energy. And then you throw the Moon into the North Node of Taurus, and so what's the energy of Taurus? The bull puts his feet in the ground, puts his horns down, and resists unrelentingly. Now, that's not the energy of Taurus all the time, You can think of the bull. I always tell people, if you don't know much about astrology, always go right to the animal. What is the animal? What is the animal's, you know, strengths, and what are the animal's weaknesses? What are the animal's tendencies? That's like my shortcut for crystal healing and chakras, you know, looking at the colors and knowing about the chakras, and then translating that to your crystal. Right, so it's the same. This is my shortcut for astrology for people. So the Taurus, you know, while the bull is strong and can pull that tractor and support you and carry you, and survive just eating grass, right? Like, doesn't eat a lot. It's also its energy when it comes to that space of struggle and anxiety or angst or pressure. What will it do? It will put its feet in the ground, put his horns down, and resist unrelentingly. So, thank you for that, ladies. All right, you both just dropped a comment in. Phoebe says that's exactly what she felt when she got out of rehab, and is glad that she sobered up for this shift. And so am I, Phoebe. So am I. Totally cosmic timing, indeed. And Lori says she's traveling with one of those bulls right now, who, I'm going to repeat this, puts his feet in the ground, puts his horns down, and resists. Resists change, resists anything that causes confusion, resists fear. So we've all been doing that. Whether or not you've gone with the flow and done the things that everyone has told you to do, or you haven't done things that everyone has told you to do. So, either way, the quantum field, that energy, is still there, right? So the people who have done things, you know, the way the government has told them to do over the last 2 years, and maybe they feel that's unfair to people who haven't, you know, or vice versa, right? We have this polarization. And the other piece is that we've got some planets in Gemini as well right now. And that Gemini is also a polarization, right? There's two faces to Gemini. I live with one of those. That's definitely an interesting household dwelling situation, because at any given moment you could have Jekyll or you could have Hyde, right? So that's what's going on in the world right now as well. So we have a lot of Gemini energy within our planets as well. Okay, so what does all that cause? Causes, that's my preface. I wanted to spend, 5 or 10 minutes talking about that to give you that background. That's where we're at. How do we use affirmations to heal that, or to counter that, or to flip that script, or to just support us, right? So plucking the words out of some of the things that I said, right? That we're anxious, we're tired, we're exhausted, there's division, there's struggle, there's fear. We're out of alignment in our dharma, in our purpose. A lot of people are trying to figure out where they need to be, geologically, which is what we're doing right now. Some of us are trying to figure out where they're meant to be in the work arena, in their career, and some people are trying to figure out where they're meant to be in relationships, and all of that can be confusing. To top it off, to put some whipped cream on the latte, we are shifting into multidimensionality. And if you're a newbie to that concept, our DNA cells are shifting, our thoughts are shifting, and our intuitions are shifting. So we are awakening, and awakening is exhausting. We are also coming out of the winter slumber. So when we slumber, right, like when we eat certain things or drink certain things or do certain things, that becomes habit for you. And so you crave those things and you continue that cycle, right? And winter is like that. Winter, you go into winter and you're like, okay, it's cold, your body's, depending on where you are. I mean, if it's not cold where you are, that's even more confusing. But hopefully, if you have seasons, then you feel some temperature change, some change within your biological clock. And even if you don't, even if you're in a warm climate all the time, us, our Floridian friends out there or our Phoenix friends out there, I mean, sometimes it gets cold there too. I was down in Florida and my parents were freezing. I wasn't, because I came from 0 degrees and they were used to 70 or 80. And so when it gets to 55 or 60, they're wearing hats and jackets, right? You still feel that change, the biological temperature change. So when you're used to sleeping in and resting and, letting yourself, giving yourself permission to rest, you want more rest. And so what does that create? Depression, right? You don't want to get out of bed in the morning. That's the extreme of exhaustion, is depression. So now that, again, we've got all of that in there, that mix to what we are awakening to multidimensionally. And I'm seeing that so ever present with people's intuitions getting sharper, little synchronicities popping up more, deja vu, double numbers, all the signs that the universe gives us for that kind of a shift are for sure duplicating, expanding, growing, replicating, rippling out. So much of that. So, what are some affirmations? And I didn't write any down. I was like, I think I'm just going to look at these words and shift that. So the first thing that I talked about was Taurus and that energy of like, I'm just going to push through this no matter what. I'm going to get to the end. I'm going to, run my horns through that red cape, right? So an affirmation for that is, I easily flow with the changes of life. Another opposite of unrelenting. I love that, Phoebe. Let me comment on this for a second, because Phoebe just said, you're blowing my mind. Just today I could not figure out why I'm so depressed. It makes no sense. So, and this is what Mary said to me when I said, if you're feeling something, trust me, you're connected to the quantum field. Everybody is feeling that. So, how do we flip that? So, with depression, and just feeling like not even, like we put a lot of energy into the word depression as well. So I want to come out of that and just talk about the actual energy of depression. Depression, the word depress, right? Pushed down. You feel heavy. You feel like your thoughts, you can't finish your thoughts aren't formulating right. So you have brain fog, you have fatigue, you have exhaustion, you don't want to get up and move, That's winter. Those are the winter blues. That's why, right now in Steamboat, our people are on blues break. We have winter blues here. Thank goodness for all of them that don't have to be here right now, because it was 1 degree outside this morning. So, and in Celsius, for anyone that's watching anywhere else in the world, that's like minus 17 degrees. So unfriendly. So, depression. Sometimes it's not as easy as flipping that script and saying, I'm happy. Because if you don't feel happy, and I talked about this when I talked about congruency in affirmations, if you don't feel healthy, then I'm saying, I'm happy. It's like, I'm happy. Fine, I'm happy. Right? You get that resistance. That's the Taurus. Like, I don't want to be happy. I just want to be depressed. I just want to sleep all day. I want to eat bonbons and watch movies. Right? Eat popcorn. That's what I do. Eat popcorn and watch movies. We still have a box of Frango Mints from Christmas. Like, I eat Frango Mints and popcorn. The two of those things go really good together. So, if you're still on your mono diet of chocolate from Christmas, it's time to change your eating habits and start eating fresh foods. Because now that we've crossed over through Imbolc, after Imbolc, the light starts coming back full on. The plants start coming back online, and it's time to start eating things like oranges again and apples and grapefruits. So if you're feeling that way, flip the script with something that's a little lighter than I'm happy. So you can get out of a depression or an exhaustion or an overwhelm or an anxious state through gradual progressions, such as every day in every way, I'm getting brighter. Every day in every way, I'm getting happier. Little by little, I'm waking up. Little by little, I have more energy. Step by step, I'm on the right track. And I love those gradual affirmations that help you because, we do resist change and we are human, and going from hot to cold or cold to hot is shocking. So being able to say, little by little, I'm doing great. Little by little, I'm eating healthier. Something else that Spirit just dropped in was, I add colors to brighten my day. So when you're not feeling like I'm happy, I want to run through the streets and the fields and my house with joy. I mean, that's a great affirmation to have. I'm running through my house with joy, or running through the forest with joy. Gradually bring joy back into your life. Every day I wake up a little bit more joyful. And I'm adding, to do that, I'm supporting myself by adding colors into my life. And not just the colors of, your room. I mean, this room for me, this wall is green, but, these yellows, I step into this office and I'm like, okay, joy, yellow, third chakra, inner self, inner child, expansion, creativity, right? This room used to be purple, and it had fairies around the wall, the top of the wall, little fairies that were in the child's room, that this room was before we moved in. And I left it because I liked the fairies and I liked the purple, but I always walked in here and it was kind of gray. It was a gray purple. It wasn't this kind of a purple, right? It wasn't bright, beautiful. My smoothie this morning, it wasn't vibrant purple, right? So that's another good tip, adding color into your food source. So this in winter is typically my staple. I don't choose a smoothie that's brown, chocolate, banana, vanilla, banana. No. I choose dragon fruit, right? To wake up my senses. So adding color, eating oranges, eating grapefruits, and sitting there for a second. We do this in Manifesting with Synchronicity, and in the third insight we talk about opening an orange and smelling it as you kind of rub its skin and get the zest of it going, and then you cut it open and you squeeze it. You can smell that citrus and allow it to waken up all of your senses. So that's an amazing tool for depression and coming out of that state of fatigue and overwhelm and exhaustion. And the other thing that I wanted to say, so I'm glad I remembered this at the last part here, is that if you hear yourself saying, God, I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted, I don't want to get up, sit there for a second and say to yourself, I love you. I know you don't want to get up. And it's okay. I give you permission to rest. I give you permission to nap. I give you permission to move slower through your day, to think slower and act slower and speak slower. I give you permission to absorb everything that you need to absorb and process it slowly. And I give you permission to go to bed early and get up late. I woke up tired today, too. I was up between 1:10 a.m. was the first time I looked at the clock, and I never went back to sleep until 5:30. So I slept until 9:30. And I'm grateful for the life that I have, that I can do that. And so when I wake up, after something like that. And of course, my busy mind is, I mean, I've got a lot on my plate right now. So my mind is active. So when I wake up and it's telling me to remember things and whatever, I write them down. I worked on a poem. I created a flyer. I did things that I think, man, I might not have time to do that in the daytime. And it doesn't feel like work to me. It's just those things. It's my creative mind. It's active sometimes at that hour of the night. And I give it permission to be active. Even though it feels like it's dark, it's cold, I'm under the covers. Like, go to sleep. Your parents' voice in your head. Young lady, what are you still doing awake? Right? I give myself permission. Okay, if there's something you need to process, then process it. What is that? If it feels like worry, then I soothe myself. And I do something like Ho'oponopono, or I do detox, deep relaxation for every chakra. I do deep breathing. I do my affirmations. I'll listen to a 10 or 15 minute sleep meditation. But if it doesn't feel like worry, because now I'm hyper aware of that in my body and my mind space, but if it doesn't feel like, I'm just running the wheels, if it actually feels like there's a process going on that popped me out of dream space, then I process. I allow myself to process. And I sometimes I like making flyers at that hour. Sending an email and hitting send later. Sending a text message and hitting schedule. Schedule that text message for 8 a.m. because I'm not going to wake someone up at 4 a.m. or 2 a.m. But then I don't have to wake up and think, crap, who was it that I was supposed to text? Right? So that's just my level of organization. Like that's what works for me. If that doesn't work for you, then don't do that. And instead, sit there and go through your I am statements. I am peaceful. I am sleepy. I am restful. Now, when you wake up, even if you haven't gotten good sleep, wake up and say, one of our leaders said, put this great, it is an affirmation in my field years ago, that when she gets out of bed and her feet hit the floor, she goes, watch out, world, here I come. And I do that. I wake up and go, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to attack this day. And that flips the script on being exhausted, waking up exhausted, instead of saying, oh my God, this day is going to suck. I got terrible sleep last night. So horrible. I was up for like 4 hours in the middle of the night. Ugh. Right? You talk yourself into that feeling, and you feel like that for the rest of the day. You feel like that through the next night of sleep. For me too, another affirmation that I have when I don't sleep great is, oh well, at least I'll sleep great the next night, because I didn't sleep great the night before. So I feel like for me it's a catch up. My body's like, okay, and I take my magnesium and I take my chamomile tea to make sure I do sleep good. And then I sleep through the night, because I told myself I'm going to sleep through the night, because I didn't sleep great the last night. So I'm due for it, right? So I hope that was helpful for you today. We're at past, and I've been here jabbering on for 30 minutes. So thanks for watching. I hope that some of those affirmations, the I am statements, the flipping the scripts, the being with yourself and allowing yourself to feel, and then gradually talking yourself into a different state, gently shifting yourself into a different state, helps you come out of this energy that we're in right now, and gets excited about spring, which is just around the corner. Thanks for watching today, guys. One love.